Dave, it looks like we've got a brand new effort to try to achieve an old goal, the banning of semi-automatic firearms, in this case, semi-automatic rifles in the United States.
That is that's what's going on, as reported in today's Latin American Herald Tribune. A coalition of Mexican and American groups are launching a petition drive to get President Obama to ban the import of so-called assault rifles. Of course, almost everything they say in this proposal is false, such as the claim that most Mexican guns, crime guns, come from the United States, and then they even claim that most of the so-called assault rifles, which are imported into the United States, end up in the hands of Mexican criminals, which is just flagrantly false.
They say that most of them do. That would mean, to me, over half. That would mean far over half.
That's exactly right.
That's absurd.
Of course, but here's the exact quote. Because most are sent as contraband to Mexico.
Wow.
According to them in their joint letter. So I would say most means over 50%.
Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, it's important to note there's two groups in the United States that are associated with this, participating in this petition drive. One is the Washington Office on Latin America, and the other is Global Exchange. And I'd urge people to go to David Horowitz's site called Discover the Networks. That's Discover the Networks, all one word, .org, www.discoverthenetworks.org, and look up Global Exchange. And you will see it is a creature of the extreme left, founded by a guy named Medea Benjamin, who, after he moved from the United States to Cuba, felt like he died and gone to heaven. This is a group that has raised money to pay for medical supplies for the families of terrorists in Iraq, the so-called insurgents who are killing U.S. forces. Medea Benjamin, the group's founder, was one of the organizers of the riots in Seattle against during the World Trade Organization meeting. So this I think gives you the fact that these people are willing to work with really an American-hating, pro-totalitarian, pro-Castro, pro-Hugo Chavez, pro-Iraqi terrorist organization. Tells you all you need to know about where their heart is.
Yeah, no kidding. That's amazing, because I understand in Mexico one of the guys who is pursuing this, Javier Cecilia, whose son was murdered by the cartels back in March. And Dave, nobody can look at what's going on in Mexico and think, oh wow, that's we don't need to do anything at all, or there's nothing that needs to be done. But the answer of gun control, when you see the narco tanks that are being found by the Mexican military, when you know about the corruption that has allegedly taken place all the way up to one of Felipe Calderon's security guards being accused of supplying guns to the cartels, the idea that a ban on semi-automatic firearms here in the United States would stop the cartels is just, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, I think some of the Mexicans who are supporting this are not themselves of the extreme pro-totalitarian left, like their cooperating group in the United States, yeah. Global Exchange. But they are what Lenin termed useful idiots, in the sense that they may be sincere, well-intentioned people who just fall for this propaganda that's being put out, trying to deflect the blame for the Mexican situation away from the Mexican government and onto the United States, a typical blame America first strategy. Because we simply know that the things they're saying, which they may well sincerely believe, they just aren't true. Like there's no support for this theory that most semi-autos or the subset of those you'd call so-called assault weapons imported into the United States end up in Mexico. We know that this claim, they say 84 or 86% of Mexican crime guns come from the United States, and that's been debunked repeatedly.
Oh, yeah.
And yet they're really just following basically the Brady campaign's agenda here of calling for new import bans and putting people who buy more than 2 semi-auto rifles on a government registration list.
Dave, I wonder. I mean, look, clearly President Obama has already begun his reelection campaign. Do you think that this could actually turn into a campaign issue? A proposed semi-auto ban?
I think he's too crafty to come out and do that directly. I think.
What if he were though? What if he were pressured from the left? I mean, there are certain progressive groups that say that Obama has not done all the wonderfully progressive things that he was supposed to do. Could he be pressured from the left to make this an issue?
I think the White House current strategy would be what he told Mr. and Mrs. Brady when they came to the White House for a visit. Is we're working on the agenda with you, but we're going to do it under the radar with things we can do by unilateral administrative action.
Okay. All right.
Like their proposed multiple sales reporting requirement for rifles in on the 4 southern border states.
Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously the foundation of what the Bradys have been asking for a long time, which is anytime you buy 2 or more semi-auto rifles which have a detachable magazine, within a 5-day period, you get reported to the government and put on a permanent registration list. And that's I think a good foundation to take that and then expand it nationally.
Wow. And as we know, the Gun Control Act of 1960 does not actually allow the ATF to mandate that requirement for long guns.
That's right. When Congress wanted to set up a multiple sales reporting requirement, they did so for handguns and did not do so for long guns. And yet the Obama BATFI is trying to impose this for long guns just by its own fiat.
All right. Well, listen, Dave, I know that there is a lot to keep an eye on these days. I appreciate you joining us and look forward to doing this again very soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Dave Coble, Research Director of the Independence Institute, joining us here tonight on Cam & Company.